Welcome, everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer. And today, for those of us who are here in the United States, we are a day before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you living in the U.S. with me. And for all those who are not celebrating this holiday, we're just going to share our love and gratitude for you being part of this journey with us. So we're going to look at today how to give and receive unconditionally. How? You might think, okay, what's this got to do with a holiday that is supposed to be all about gratitude when we're supposed to be so loving and grateful for everything that we have and everyone around us? Well, that is a wonderful thing to do. Gratitude is always the best thing that you can offer yourself if you want to improve your life most quickly. Step into gratitude. Step into looking at and being sincerely grateful for those things that are going well. But in order for your life to improve, you've got to be divinely aligned, because you've got to be able to give out of your joy, out of your delightedness, out of your gratitude, but you also must be able to receive. Because if it's all going out and nothing comes back in, you're going to become exhausted very quickly. That's what I like to call working from our humanness. We can't do it. We were never designed to do it. So let's take a look at what our guides have to share with us today about giving and receiving unconditionally. Because when we go spend time with family, and it can be close family, distant relatives, friends, or people that you may not normally see often, the holidays can become quite stressful. You can feel like you need to be someone that you're not in order to please these people, especially when it comes to family or relatives, to please these people that otherwise you would not, if they were not related to you, you would not be associating with them. This is because, again, you're trying to work from your humanness. You're trying to say, look at me. The ego holds up a sign. Look at me. I want you to accept me. I need you to accept me. I'll feel better when you accept me. Spirit just says, I'm already loved and supported. If you too decide to accept me, that makes my life all that much fuller. It makes my life easier. But I'll be fine if you don't. And I'm going to love you anyway. So let's take a look at what our guides have to share with us. And as always, if you're not already on my mailing list, you need to get the daily inspiration. And I'm not saying it because I'm sending it out. I'm saying it because when you are connected with a community of like-minded people who are reading the same information that you're reading, that are thinking the same thoughts, that are turning their mind in the direction of being uplifted, you automatically get the benefit. So, get on my mailing list, receive that daily inspiration, get notified of classes and events that we're doing together, be part of the community, and let us support you. It's Marcia, M-A-R-C-I-A, Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com. Also, for even deeper support, join our Facebook group, Heal Our Hearts. That's on Facebook, Heal Our Hearts. It's a group dedicated to unconditional love, and everyone on there is just sharing ways to improve your life. So, Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com for getting on the mailing list to receive the daily inspiration, or Heal Our Hearts, the Facebook group. Alrighty, so now that I've given you a little extra support to get through the holidays if you have to go be with family that makes you uncomfortable. Let's hear from our guides. Dearest hearts, as you enter into this season of celebration, when all are encouraged to give, 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 we want you to understand why giving without receiving is out of divine alignment, and why giving or receiving with conditions attached is also out of alignment. First, understand that the giver who is unable to receive soon becomes an empty vessel. Once you have given of yourself without replenishing, it's only a matter of time before you're then unable to continue to give. The well has run dry, and no matter how good your intention, there's just nothing left from which you to give. Think about some of those holiday gatherings that you've been to in the past, where you brought your human self and you said, this time, I'm going to just keep a smile on my face and I'm just going to be loving and they're not going to push my buttons. Think how much easier it would have been if you brought your divine partnership and you really could get support. Because those who had benefited from your giving may feel angry that the well has run dry and express their anger by abandoning you. You might have had a support in your family that as long as you were giving, 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 and when you couldn't anymore, suddenly you're not so great and your support isn't there. Which makes a situation that's already difficult just that much harder. You may feel bereft, adrift, and alone, wondering why all the good giving you were doing isn't being returned in your time of need, as the law of attraction promised it would be. I was there. Are you there now? If so, listen, I want you out of that headspace. It's so destructive. And I was in that place for so long, asking questions like this. Is universal law broken? Has God abandoned his promises? Is this whole cause and effect, sow and reap thing really a lie? I was ready to just walk away from everything, stay in my self-inflicted pity party and just believe that was as good as it was going to get, because I didn't understand. To answer these questions, you must understand the difference between divinely aligned giving and receiving and desperate grasping. When you are fully aligned, you're connected to Source and you're no longer alone in your giving. You are now part of a team. The energy you share with others is coming not from your humanness, but from your God-centered self. Therefore, what you put forth is not of you, which would be self-generated, but is coming through you, so it's of the Holy Spirit, and thereby can be easily regenerated. God never runs out of the ability to create, or gets exhausted, or gets disgusted. That's an ego product. That's human. When you give from your place of alignment, you're an inspired giver. You're giving because it feels good to do so, and you're giving from an overflowing well of abundance. This type of giving activates the law of attraction to bring you more that will fill you to overflowing with inspiration and abundance. This is giving from a place of joy. This is so different from the way I began my spiritual journey, and I don't know about you, but I began from a place of utter brokenness and desperation. It never really occurred to me that I could find joy. I just had to get relief from the dark place that I had created for myself. It took me many, many years to get to a place of joy, and that's why we are doing this work, holding these classes, so you can get to joy more quickly. When you're giving to get, you're giving believing that you can activate the 10x rule by giving from a place of desperation. When you become desperate, you believe erroneously that something you need, desire, or crave is being withheld from you. How many times have you had the conversation, God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you holding this back from me? Universe, are you broken? I don't think these laws work. It's because you also assume that you can manipulate or bargain with God. So universal law will begin operating in your favor. With this mindset, you begin strategic or conditioned giving. You are completely confused about the way universal law works if you believe that you can bargain your way into a more favorable position with God. Universal law is absolute and it will not change because you're having a good day or a bad day. It will always be the same. You must meet the conditions of universal law and act within its boundaries, as it will not change for you. But even though in the beginning that looks like, oh, that's so unfair, why can't it just work the way I want to? Because once you understand the gift that you've been given, you will never have to question, am I doing it right? You will know. Oh, okay, I just get aligned with God and my life begins moving forward. I can kick and scream and fight and put all sorts of roadblocks in the way, and my life will probably go in a circle or go backward. It's not that difficult. It's just that we make it difficult because we don't have the correct information. You may think to yourselves, I want to receive 10 times the amount of money I put out because that was God's promise. Ever been in church thinking about that one as the collection plate comes around? So I'm going to get the money I need by tithing 1/10 of my desired return. I was guilty of sitting there with my checkbook and calculating how much I needed for a bill and looking in my checkbook and seeing how much I could spare. Wasn't feeling inspired. I wasn't delighted. I wasn't feeling abundant. I was desperate. And I was playing the bargaining game. You might even feel quite smug and self-satisfied as though you've outsmarted the rest of the pack by using universal law to pay your bills. But unless you're coming from a place of uplifting inspiration, you've placed the condition of needy desperation on that tithe. My money was not going to return anything but more desperation because that's the spirit with which it was given. As the seed I planted was not one of growth and abundance, but trickery and manipulation. We're saying to the universe, please ignore the desperation that's pouring forth from my energetic being, which is repelling abundance and attracting poverty, and magically transform it into energy that will attract the abundance I so desperately need. No matter how many times you ask, no matter how you plead, beg, or cry, the unwanted energy you send forth will not magically transform and be returned to you as a high vibrational offering. Please don't waste your time testing this truth. I tested it for years. I'm going to save you all that work just by telling you there's no way you can put out begging, desperate, hoping, maybe scared energy and have anything but desperate, scared, begging, fear-filled energy return. There is no magic wand that God is holding that when you pour out fear, oh, I'm so scared, what's going to happen, what if, that it goes somewhere in the universe and God waves a magic wand and it transforms itself from fear-faced thinking and believing to high vibrational love, joy, and peace, and comes back to you and says, here, dear, I know you didn't mean it. No, it comes back to you as more fear, often magnified, so that you will become so frustrated, so desperate, whatever you want to whatever you want to call it, frustrated, that you will begin looking at what you're offering, what you're doing, and why it isn't working, and begin making better choices. Because as long as God would have been willing to do it for you, you would not have learned a darn thing. You wouldn't have changed. You would continue offering your same fear product, and if it magically came back transformed into love, you would accept it and say, oh, look at me. I'm doing everything perfectly. But when it smacks you in the face, when it comes back harder and knocks you down a little bit further, you get ready to start looking at how you could do better. And that's when the magic happens. That's when you realize who you are, that you had the answers all along, and that not only can you transform your life, but you can help those around you transform their lives. And that's because God loves us so much that they allow us to get frustrated, to feel desperate, to feel isolated and alone, so that we will stop looking outside of ourselves for answers and go within where all of the answers lie, because our heart connection to God provides us with everything we will ever need. Have to remember that you are responsible for the energy you produce. It is not your neighbor, your spouse, or your children. It is you. You are responsible for the thoughts you think, the actions you take, and the words you choose to share with others. There is no neutral territory when it comes to the energy that you're sharing. You're either uplifting to yourself and others, or you're draining the energy from the room by focusing on what's wrong. When you go offline, when you just are not paying attention and are not present in this moment, you will go to your dominant energy program. If you think a lot of negative thoughts, negativity will be what you focus on. If you have spent time cleaning that up, you will, and really working on being positive, you will think about things that are uplifting and that bring you joy and make you happy. Nobody's doing it to you. It's your choice. If you choose to understand and respect universal laws, you will easily be able to act in harmony with them. However, you will never be able to change them to do what you want them to do. And I mentioned that earlier. Don't waste your time playing the fool saying, if I just wish hard enough, I can make universal laws bend to my will. Nope, it's not going to happen. Learn what they are and how to use them instead. In order to be able to function as a physical being and have a world that supports you, there must be in place a set of supports that determines how everything will react in relation to everything else. This reaction must be predictable and measurable, for if it's not, if it were random and chaotic, life could not be sustained just for a moment. I know sometimes it gets frustrating to think, oh my gosh, I got to function within these constraints. But just for a moment, imagine what your life would be like if you never knew when it was going to be day, never knew when it was going to be night, you never knew when it was going to be winter or summer, you never knew when it was going to be morning, you never knew if the gravity would be holding you onto the planet or you'd be floating around. Pretty confusing, pretty difficult to figure out anything other than possibly the most basic survival, if you could even figure that out. So we need these laws. We need the predictability. We need to know that if I do A, I will receive B in the physical world. Spiritual world works the same way. If I think negatively, I will receive negativity. If I think positively, I will receive positive in return. So you can learn what the laws are and how to function within them, but you'll never be able to manipulate the laws or cause them to react differently. Now, I've done a lot of blog posts about the laws, so you are welcome to go check those out. It's not something that we're going to look at right now. It's on spiritual messages from the heart healer in WordPress. But we're not going to take the time to go through all the universal laws today. That's not what this is about. This is just letting you know you cannot manipulate the laws or cause them to react differently. No amount of positive thinking is going to accomplish that either. So in this particular case, it is what it is, and you need to learn how to work within it because you're not going to be able to change it. You may change your behavior and your reactions, for you're a conscious, expansive being, but the laws do not and will not change. So how are we different from the animals that we share the planet with? We know that we can change our behavior and get different results. Most animals are instinctual and just keep the same behavior because it usually gets them the results that they want because it is instinctual, unless there's the very rare occasion when they may be suffering from some sort of disease that causes them to act erratically, like rabies or something like that. Therefore, during this holiday season, many of you may go from one extreme to the other, trying to find a balance of giving and receiving. We advise that before you engage with anyone or anything in any way, that you take the time to go within. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and relax into the energetic space of the heart, where your divine connection to Source resides. Take a few moments to expand your awareness into that space. Now, allow yourself to be filled to overflowing with love from Source. Open right up to receive. And now, note the condition of this love. What does it feel like? What is it asking of you? It's without pretense. It's without demands, restrictions, and limitations. It's pure in its intent. It renews and restores. It fills you to overflowing. It encourages you to shine so brightly that you automatically share your love with others. However, this love does not demand or manipulate. It is not a relative who you want to avoid, who wants to hit you up for an investment in their new business project, or wants to be condemning or controlling because your life is not like theirs. This love is without the need to manipulate because it is so pure. It is all God. It simply encourages you to be your best. Connect with that love, that feeling of well-being, and allow it to pour forth from you In this spirit of overflow, give freely to those around you as you maintain your connection to Source. So that which is gifted to others can be replenished within you. So when you leave that family dinner tomorrow, I want you to leave feeling uplifted, joyful, and filled to overflowing, because first you connected with Source. And so at the end of the day, you can be physically tired if you had a big meal at your house and had to do the prep work to get it on the table. But I'd like you to be filled to overflowing with joy, because you didn't come to the table empty. You came filled to overflowing. You were the beacon of light. You were the gift that was truly needed by all who you shared that meal with. When you give from your connectedness, you give purely and perfectly. You're able to give from the space of abundance instead of the place of desperation, and you will therefore naturally attract more abundance. It's a beautiful give and take. Because you're giving from that space of abundance, the energy pouring forth from you is light, beautiful, feel good energy. So what you receive back is light, good, feel good energy. And that's the space of all abundance. Monetary as well as joyful. Because you chose to give from a place of unification with Source instead of isolation from the divine, you're then able to give and receive without an agenda. Since you're already receiving from infinite abundance, you no longer have a need to manipulate people or circumstances out of desperation. Think how freeing it is to know your needs have already been met. So therefore, you don't need to act in any way except a way that is loving. Giving and receiving from the balanced and connected heart of the divine source enables you to be wise and generous in your interactions. Safe within the cocoon that is the unconditional love of Source, you give as guided and receive what you desire. Isn't it about time that you are able to receive that which you desire instead of just whatever might be available? Connect with God. Give out unconditional love to everyone that you see. And then receive back into your heart that loving energy that helps you manifest whatever it is that you desire. You recognize you're not alone and that you're worthy of receiving all of the abundance that's pouring forth upon you. From this place of self-worth and self-love, you can give without condition as you inspire others and yourself to open their hearts and minds to a union with the divine. It's your partnership and not a solo act that will enable you to maintain a balance in your giving and receiving while staying in a place of abundance. Partnership. Remember that. You're not going to that family dinner by yourself. You're in partnership with the divine. And that's how you maintain your balance. So, let's take a look now at what they've shared with us. And before we leave today, we want to look at how to tithe correctly. This is such an important truth, and it helped me so much. And as you know, absolutely anything that I learn, I want to share with you. I've been on this journey 30 plus years, and it was a long, hard struggle. So I want to make your journey easier, faster, and more joyful by sharing what I've learned. So, when we're giving to get, which is really the conventional view of tithing, and why it seems so repulsive, it puts us out of balance with the universe. I mean, I would hear every time I would go to church or every time I would listen to someone who claimed that they were an authority. Oh, you need to tithe, sow that seed. God can't help you, and that's the right thing to do, and we need your help. I'm sure they do. Absolutely need your help to grow their ministry, but you should not help anyone unless they inspire you. You don't help because they wore you down with guilt. You don't send in your check or put money in the offering basket because you were prompted by guilt. If you feel inspired, uplifted, and joyful, tithe to that group or organization. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's go back a little bit. Giving. Trying to prove we're worthy is out of alignment. Tithing when we're not feeling inspired, that's giving to get mentality, that's out of alignment. Grabbing or trying to receive without giving anything in return, out of alignment. Giving and refusing to receive, out of false humility, out of alignment. There is so much that well-meaning religious folks have shared with us that really is not in line with God's teaching. As always, I want you to go into your heart and ask yourself, does this feel right to me? Is this lifting me up? Is this giving me what feels like truth? Or am I really feeling uncomfortable or a little confused? You never want to trust anybody on everything. All of us here are human and we can all make mistakes. However, you have a truth meter in your heart, and that's why I always instruct you to go into the heart and see if it makes sense to you. Obviously, it makes sense to me because I'm sharing it. But if it doesn't make sense for you, it's not going to be right for you. I only share the principles that have worked in my own life. But I'm not living your life. So you must pay attention to what feels right to you. If you really want people to be angry with you, then I want you to create a state of dependency by being the giver who's always there to give and give some more out of your saintly human self. We've all been there. We've all tried to give more than we should have. But then suddenly you're empty and you're incapable of giving, and you expect those that have become dependent to be satisfied, first of all, with what you've already given them, and then help you because you can't help them anymore. And instead, it just becomes a big mess of hurt feelings. Because you've set up a false positive. You've stated that you'll be the giver, the carer. But if you're not aligned with God, you're going to be worn out. And that happens to all of us. It's not you doing anything wrong. You're not bad. You just got worn out because you forgot to align first. And law of attraction can only bring to you what you're putting out. So law of attraction was bringing you the I don't deserve good things because that's what you were thinking. Anybody who walks into a situation and says, you don't have to give me anything, just let me give to you. I'm so happy to give to you when they really don't have enough to keep themselves afloat, is feeling really unworthy and is trying to prove to God and perhaps to you that they deserve to receive. If you are overflowing, give, give, give. That's the place that God wants all of us, in the state of beautiful overflow. But until you're there, giving as an attempt to get so you can give is not going to work. Instead, align with God and give what God gives you, which is just loving energy, and it's free to give, and it's easily replenished, constantly replenishing. Instead of trying to cover up with good works and helping because you feel bad about yourself, or trying to fool the universe into believing that you're a worthy individual, know this: you are already worthy. Nothing could make you more worthy than you already are in God's eyes. You need to allow yourself to be worthy in your own eyes. That's why you need to spend more time in your heart. Your heart knows who you really are. When you are aligned with Source, you feel better physically, mentally. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be more proactive about self-care and self-love. You're going to begin giving as guided instead of out of obligation. Let's say that there's a whole row of homeless people sitting there asking for donations. Well, perhaps you're supposed to be giving to those homeless people today, but only if you are guided. Perhaps that $100 that you gave out really needs to go somewhere else where it can be truly sustaining. I don't know. Ask Source. Now you no longer are going to need a return. If you ask Source, if you get in alignment, you're going to feel energetically loved, safe, and directed. So you're not putting that money in somebody's hands saying, here's $10, thinking to yourself, oh, I really need 100. I really need 100. I hope this 10X rule really steps in quick because I need $100 back. You're already going to be filled. And because you're only giving as guided, you're going to know that you're doing the right thing. You know that you will receive as you need, and not because you're trying to manipulate universal law. Not because you're calculating that 10X tithing rule and trying to strike up a bargain with God. Now, we're going to get back to that tithing principle in just a minute, especially as we come more into the holidays and all of the charities and the close of the year, and all of the charities are asking for donations. Should you give? As you are guided. Should you give to every charity that asks? Only if you are guided. I cannot answer that question for you. I will never try to answer that question, but you have an internal guidance system that will answer it for you perfectly. Just know that if you're saying to yourself, I really need $100, so I'll put $10 in the collection plate and God's going to return it to me tenfold, that's bargaining. That's begging. That's not going to that's coming from the low vibration, trying to access the high vibration. Your abundance is in the place of love, joy, and peace, the highest vibration. Your desperation is in the lowest place. You cannot perform an action from the lowest place and expect to receive a return from the highest place. Get to the highest place first, and you will receive in return that which you desire from that high place. So, Let's look at that dynamic that's activated when you tithe versus when you beg. When you tithe, you're actively and willingly, remember that, not I feel pressured, actively and willingly gifting 10% of your income to the person or the organization that inspired you. If you don't feel inspired, if you feel as though they're always asking you for money, if you feel put upon, you're planting your seed in angry ground. It's like putting it in soil that has been poisoned. You're not going to get anything good back. You're already feeling bad. You're in that lowest vibration. You're saying energetically and with your contribution, I don't really like you, but I feel pressured to give you money. And it's making me angry, sad, frustrated, whatever you want to say. But I'm going to do it because God will return this to me 10 times over. And God says, no, I can't do that because that's not in line with universal principle. You're in that bottom begging range. So nothing, even if I were to try to return it, it wouldn't reach you. But hey, take my hand, climb up here into this high light vibration, and you'll receive everything I'm sending forth. So when you tithe, when you give to someone that has inspired you or something, it can be an organization, what you are saying is, thank you. Thank you for inspiring, educating, and or uplifting me. I want you to continue this important work. So I'm saying thank you with my contribution. Now, please hear the difference in energy. And by the way, *2, if you have a question or you're not understanding, this is so, so important. The minute you feel obligated, you are sowing seed in ground that has been poisoned. It's not going to return to you anything but more poisoned product. It can't. Law of attraction says we receive that which we put forth, only generally magnified. So come on, please don't do this. When you sow into fertile ground, when you say, I was so uplifted, inspired, delighted, excited, and expanded by what you share that I really want to tithe to you, person or organization. Now you're saying, I'm excited to help you carry on your work. I want to be part of this. I want to grow too. I'm expanding. Now universal law says, oh, look at that. They're in this high vibrational place. They want to expand. Let us bring them more of everything they desire so they can continue to expand and stay in this beautiful place. Because all the law can do is return to you more of what you've already put forth. Tithing properly says, I've already received great value, and I'm choosing to honor you for the value you've given me. I love what I've received. It has helped me so much. I'm excited to receive more from you, person who is inspiring me or organization. So here, please, take this money to make sure you can keep going. Begging says, I'm empty, broke, desperate, and uninspired. Universal law says I'll receive a 10-fold return on my money. I sure hope that's true because I really need the money. If this doesn't work, I am so screwed. I have sat in church and said basically those words as I was writing out the check for the collection plate. The service, the minister, I was at a Unity church, was wonderful. I really should have been saying, thank you, I feel uplifted, inspired, and oh, you've done so much to help me get through the week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wasn't ready to hear that yet. So instead, in my head, I'm saying, I'm empty, broke, desperate, and uninspired. As I look at my checkbook that's dangerously low on funds, universal law says I'll receive a tenfold return on my money. I sure hope that's true because I really need the money. If this doesn't work, I'm screwed. And guess what? It never worked. It didn't work, that magic 10x return, until I began tithing to only those people that inspired me, who made me see something really dynamic, who lifted me up out of myself, and I could say, thank you. Let me help you, for you have helped me. That's when I began seeing my world really shift and change. Because tithing activates the law of attraction to bring more because you're acknowledging that you've already received. Pegging activates the law of attraction to withhold or take away because you're stating, I'm empty and uninspired. But just ignore that and bring me abundance. It doesn't work. There's no magic feather that magically will transform your energy. You've got to do it. Come from the place of, oh, thank you. I've received so much. And not the place of, poor me, I sure hope this works. Law of attraction can only reflect, you get back what you put forth. It is not creative. There were many times long ago when I wanted it to be creative, to do the thinking for me, to do the work for me, but it will not. It doesn't transform your negative energy into a positive outcome. Now, all these years later, there is no way I want it to be creative. I want to know that when I'm thinking positively, I will return positive. I will have positive return. I don't want chaos in my world. I like the order. I like knowing that when I get my thoughts right and when I'm acting in a constructive manner, I get more good back. But in those early days, I just wanted someone to do it for me. Be the me today and not the me then. Get your thoughts right. You can do it. You've got the power and the ability. If you need more help, go on my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com. Plenty of blogs there that you can review that will provide you with so much teaching and training. You can access these calls on YouTube if you want to hear them. Hear me talk about these principles instead of the blog where it's written. Take advantage. And if you're really stuck, send me a message, marciamartinthehearthealer.com. Contact me. I offer a 30-minute complimentary Victim to Victorious session to find out what's going on. Where do you want to go? What's holding you stuck? And then, of course, we make sure you're feeling inspired and renewed and restored so you can get there. You can get where you're going. Because there's no neutral ground in your thoughts, in your actions. You may think, oh, I'm just sitting here. No, you're not. If you really tune in, you will realize that your thoughts have gone in a certain direction. And it's either toward the positive or toward the negative. Check on yourself when you're daydreaming. Where are you going? That will explain where the majority of your thoughts are. If you're predominantly negative, you're going to be thinking about all the bad what-ifs that could happen. If you're predominantly positive, you're going to think about the magical, wonderful, fabulous what-ifs that could happen. It's your choice. Just remember that universal laws can't be changed. As always, the way to handle holiday overwhelm is to take a deep breath and go within. So those of you who are here with me in the U.S., who are heading off to holiday events or hosting them at your own homes, just relax and know you're going to be okay. As always, I'm going to remind you of my favorite technique, which anyone can do anywhere. If you are feeling overwhelmed, because we're not robots, sometimes people will come at us and we're not prepared, and they'll say something and it just gets into that place where there's unhealed trauma and it feels like somebody let a bomb off, and you find yourself almost gasping for breath. Instead of reacting to that person or that whatever, that little bomb, I want you to just take a moment, look at the person and say, I'll be right back. I need to use the bathroom. Nobody is going to argue with you that you have to use the bathroom. Take as much time as you need. Breathe deeply. Get yourself recentered. Get aligned with God. Don't leave that bathroom, the safety of that enclosed small space where you are completely private. Don't leave that bathroom until you feel better. And if you come out and that person is still there and tries to hammer at you again, you may need to go right back into the bathroom again. It's okay. Go as many times as you need to until you feel really strong and confident. Do not let anyone steal your peace with their difficulty or their unloving attitude. Only you can give them permission to do that. Just take that permission away. It's their choice to be in that headspace. Let them be there alone. Maybe they'll get frustrated enough so that they'll start looking at how they can change and be more fun to be around. In the meantime, you go protect you. Run into that ladies' room or men's room and stay there until you feel better. You've taken a couple of deep, heart-clearing breaths and you are reconnected with the divine and you feel loved and secure and safe. Then you can go out and hopefully choose someone else to talk to. Don't go in as a victim. Go in as a strong, powerful person, the strong, powerful person that you know you are inside. So, connect with the love of God. Fill. Just first you. First, allow yourself to be filled. Forget about all of the other people that are at the holiday gathering with you. They're fine. And if they're not, they can be in bathrooms around the house or wherever you are and doing their own filling work. First, you. You're the only one that you can control. You're the most important person in your life. So first you. You fill up. And once you're feeling better and more secure and a little more stable, Continue to fill until you are overflowing. Now you are a blessing to everyone who is gathered there with you. So, filled until you are filled to overflowing. Allow that beautiful unconditional love to just spill forth from you. Well, we're having some construction work, and now they've decided to bang, so I apologize. Can't control them. But just allow yourself to be filled with this love. And then notice the absence of conditions. If it is God's love and not the ego telling you whatever it likes to tell us, there will not be that overwhelming sense of, I'm bad and I better straighten up, or I feel so stupid, or they always make me feel foolish, or whatever condemning little conversation the ego would like to have with you. Just pretend you're in a shower, that God's love is showering down upon you, pouring forth in such huge amounts that you're just instantly filled up. Just stay there as long as you need to, but recognize there are absolutely no conditions on this love. You don't have to earn it. You already are everything God wants you to be. 100%. God sees you as you are. And as you are, as your authentic self, you are perfect in every way. So you don't have to earn God's love. It is freely given. So, feel this just pure, wonderful, uplifting, hugging sensation. But wait until you feel strong enough, sure enough, and stable enough before you go back out and join the party. If somebody caused you to shut down to that degree, you don't need to go rushing back out there. It's okay to take a moment to get your sea legs to fill up. And then when you realize that you can go out there and broadcast this love and use it as a shield to surround you, you will be like the ship sailing into harbor, magnificent. You'll be filling up the room in a new, more beautiful way. And you can actually shift the vibration of the room, because as you bring this loving energy forward with you into the room, others who are willing will also receive this uplifting energy and will allow themselves to be transported. For those that are unwilling, there's nothing you can do except to continue to wrap them in pink and gold blankets of love, which is just God's unconditional love, and refuse to be party to their pity. Just keep lifting them up, even if it's from a distance. I don't suggest that you go over to the one who's in the corner. If you're already feeling vulnerable and you're not in that high, secure, strong place, don't go to the one sitting in the corner feeling sorry for themselves. They will be so heavy that they'll drag you down. But please do share a blanket of pink and gold light with them energetically. And if you're able, you go over and talk with them. But no guilt if you don't feel that you're stable enough or strong enough. Your first obligation is to yourself, just as theirs is to themselves. If you're experiencing judgment when you are in the unconditional love of God, you must know that it is coming from you. When you give from your connectedness, you can give from a place of purity that's without manipulation or pretense. So, learn to partner with God instead of going solo, and you'll reap the reward of balance. Star 2, if anybody has a question or a concern, as always, I'm so delighted you were here with me during this hour. I love doing this work. It is so delightful for me to be able to share with all of you. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are in the U.S. Again, remember, it's Marcia, Marcia, Marcia at Marcia Martin the Heart Healer. If you are needing to get more information, go to the blog. If you want to schedule your free session, contact me. If you want to get on the mailing list, that's also in the contact tab. If you are wanting a class on a specific spiritual principle, it's at my website. So everyone, thank you so much for being here, for holding loving space with me, for allowing me to share in every way possible. Thank you for all the love that you bring to these calls. Happy Thanksgiving. And until next Wednesday, I'm sending you my love.